We have so much information, it will take the full hour that we will give you tonight that I promise you the media mob, the single most repugnant, corrupt, lying group of people in this country with a political agenda for one party. We're going to lay out the truth, each and every detail, that the president did absolutely nothing wrong, nothing. The Democrats, the media, they are just outright lying to you again. 3 years of lies, cover-ups, conspiracy theories, and a hoax. They're doing it all over again. And this is for the country. I will tell you this. If you love our country, and I know you do, and this is an all-hands-on-deck moment. This is about our way of life. This is about our system of governance that has been the single greatest system ever created by mankind that has raised the standard of living in the entire world. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. If you believe in that, the rule of law, freedom, our Constitution, our rights, you really need to engage now like you never have been. Because they, on the other side, along with their cohorts, this unholy alliance, the media mob, the Democratic Party, they're one and the same. Because what they're doing is so dangerous, wanting to undo an election under any circumstances, that if they succeed, the America that we inherited will be unrecognizable. As we speak, what is happening? They are attempting to remove a duly elected president from office based on nothing but a manufactured crisis. Now, a second witch hunt. After 3 years of the first witch hunt, 4 investigations, no collusion. Well, they now started another one. But this time they're not going to make the same mistake, which is, oh, we're not going to wait 3 years and then get disappointed in the end when it doesn't come out the way we thought it was going to come out. This is devoid of actual crimes, misdemeanors. Even minor impropriety doesn't exist here. And the great irony is that, once again, it is the Democrats that are guilty of nearly every single accusation they are throwing at the president you elected that they want to remove from office. It's now a running theme on the left and the media. Everything they accuse the president of, they themselves are guilty of doing. You want clear evidence of a quid pro quo? Okay, look no further than sleepy, creepy, crazy Uncle Joe. He's bragging about it. Now, what about Russia collusion? Okay, we had Hillary Clinton. Yeah, the dirty Russian dossier with funneled money, hiring an op research group, and MI6, Christopher Steele there. As the New York Times called it, Russian disinformation from the get-go. And then it was used, of course, to spy on the Trump campaign transition and even a president of the United States, one of numerous ways. This president has had to deal with things that no other president has ever had to deal with before. Now it's Ukrainian collusion. In 2016, a DNC, now pay attention to this, a DNC contractor was paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why? To pressure Ukraine and Ukrainian officials to dig up dirt on Donald Trump and trash his campaign. And as an added bonus, oh, we do have 4 U.S. senators. That's right, let's see, Menendez, Murphy, Leahy, and Dick Durbin. They're all on record threatening the government of Ukraine with untold consequences if they don't comply with their anti-Trump demands and their investigation witch hunt from the Russia issue. Where's all the hysteria over those quid pro quos? Only matters if they can bludgeon Trump. You know, for example, Hillary, she, paid for Russian lies to influence the campaign. Nobody said a thing. After she stole a primary, rigged it, after she had a rigged investigation that kept her in the race, then she gets the insurance policy. Wow. What about the hysteria over all those examples of collusion? Only if it's Trump. Only, where are the I believers surrounding a Democratic lieutenant governor in Virginia? You know what? What we're watching here is a pattern unfolding. And it's sort of a quickening now. And that is, they're not going to wait 3 years. Well, we'll just impeach him, let's pick it out of a hat. And the mob, of course, supports it. With no logic, no facts, no reason. You have to suspend every bit of God-given intelligence and common sense you have to believe there's anything to this. And we'll have all the details about the hypocrisy coming up tonight. Now, we do have Joe Biden's campaign. Well, they want to actually stop Rudy Giuliani from talking, demanding TV executives block him from appearing on shows like ours. By the way, they don't want him exposing the truth about, what Joe did with the prosecutor. Why would a vice president of the United States of America want a Ukrainian prosecutor fired, or he's going to withhold $6 billion? And by the way, you only have 6 hours to do it. That would be a shakedown by Biden. Oh, for the reason of, that's right. He wants to protect his son, who had no experience in Ukraine, oil, gas, or energy, and was getting paid a fortune, millions of dollars. And Giuliani, by the way, was also just subpoenaed by House Democrats. This is going to be one of the greatest shows on earth. Can't wait to see that. Rudy Giuliani will join us in a moment. And if Biden would like to defend his actions as vice president, we've invited him on the show. I'll give him a whole week's worth of shows. Highest show in cable. He can join us right here, 5 nights in a row. Joe 30330. I'll even give him 3 hours of my radio show. We'll have more on that. But first, we do have major breaking news that is devastating to our national security. Once again, the contents of yet another private phone call between our president and a world leader was leaked, this time to the New York Times. This is now the 4th time, the 4th example, leaking the president's confidential communications with world leaders. Let's see, Australia, then Mexico, Ukraine, and now Australia again. Geraldo put it well. This president has been forced to deal with, quote, snitches and rats and backstabbers for 3 years. People within our government trying to sabotage, undermine, and undo an election. What other president has ever had to deal with this? Think about it. Each day, President Trump now has to work against powerful, unelected, deep state bureaucrats that hate him. How does he get to do his job? At what point does this become dangerous for the entire world if he can't negotiate in good faith with world leaders? What world leader will ever talk to the president in confidence on a phone call? And some of these bad actors are now spying on the president's communications and leaking them to the media. It is a massive national security crisis. Who is spying and leaking this information? Calls between world leaders must be some of the most guarded conversations in the White House. World leaders must be able to communicate freely and clearly with our president. That would be good for world peace, negotiations, our economy. But that's never going to happen again. The trust has now forever been broken. The world is less safe because of what these people are doing, abusing the powerful tools of intelligence that we entrust to them to keep us safe, not to use as political weaponry against American citizens or an American president. And so far, we've seen leaks, as I said, Mexico, Australia, Ukraine, and now we have another leak with the Australian Prime Minister. Now, if this is how business is going to be conducted, it's probably time we get the contents of some other people's calls, other presidents. For example, how about Obama's conversations? I'll have more flexibility after the election. I'd love to hear the after the election calls and the promise that he made to Vladimir Putin. Or how about the full transcript of Obama's calls with the mullahs in Iran or President Rouhani that led up to this horrible nuclear deal and him giving $150 billion to, yes, the #1 state sponsor of terror that wants to wipe Israel and the U.S. off the map. And while we're at it, why don't we get Biden's communications and phone calls and transcripts of the leaders of Ukraine that he talked to when he was put in charge of Ukraine? And that's when his son got his lucrative deal. Is that what they want? And by the way, what was the big so-called bombshell development from the most recent leak? All right, look at the New York Times. President Trump requested the Australian government that they cooperate with the Attorney General's investigation into what is the origins of the Russia probe. In other words, a DOJ official is now telling Fox News the Attorney General did ask the president to make standard introductions to officials in multiple countries who may have pertinent information in the ongoing Barr-Durham probe. Now, according to the Department of Justice, these requests are not out of the ordinary at all, and so far, the countries have been very helpful without any need for pressure from the White House. And you won't likely hear this from the media mob. You see, this is the part of the story in the Russia witch hunt that they didn't want to pay attention to. Yes, we're going to get the story on FISA abuse and the Inspector General's report, but we're also going to get the Barr-Durham report at some point, too, and the investigations into the origins of this Russia witch hunt. Incredibly important, nonpartisan investigation. A big piece of the probe surrounds whether or not let's see Obama administration intel people at the highest levels whether they tried to circumvent United States law, spy on American citizens by simply circumventing the law and outsourcing and subcontracting the illegal surveillance to intel agencies in foreign countries. Like Great Britain, can you do me a favor? I need information on, President Trump. Italy, do you mind spying on our president? Australia, yeah, all of those countries are being looked into as having done that for, yes, our own intelligence people, because legally they can't, so they thought they were being cute trying to get around that law. So it's pretty clear why the Department of Justice would be working with Australian, Italian, and authorities in Great Britain to probe into the origins of the Russia witch hunt is a very real investigation into real serious government abuse of power and corruption. Democrats, the media, they've never told you that story. They don't care about actual crimes. If they did, they would have clearly seen what we did, a slam dunk case. Hillary Clinton committed multiple felonies on the Espionage Act. They would have seen she obstructed justice when she deleted the subpoenaed emails and all the other garbage. They would see that when it says at the top of a FISA application, verified, and you don't verify it, and you use Russian lies to spy on a campaign, and then a transition team, and then a presidency, and deny another American their constitutional rights, yeah, they would have told you that story, too, but they, well, conveniently left it out. Instead, the left is totally consumed with hatred for all things Donald Trump. In fact, they have spent only the last 3 years trying to find some way, any way, to impeach him. Look at Newsbusters. The mob began calling for impeachment only 2 days after he got elected. For the next 35 consecutive months, guess what? More and more calls for impeachment, never-ending impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. What it does to the country, they don't care. They care about peace and protecting our country. They don't care about that either. They care about economic opportunity and jobs and the economy. They don't seem to. Take a look.
I will fight every day until he is impeached. Impeach 45. Impeach 45.
Donald Trump now sits at the threshold of impeachment.
We're introducing articles of impeachment to remove President Trump from office.
Given the events of today, the likelihood of impeachment, I'm not saying it's high necessarily, but it certainly went up.
The Constitution could not be any clearer. Impeachment is the appropriate remedy.
We're going to go in there, we're going to impeach them.
I have called on the House to initiate impeachment proceedings.
He told us enough to interpret what he said as a referral for impeachment proceedings.
It's time for us to impeach this president.
We are considering what to do about it, including the possible voting of articles of impeachment.
There should be an impeachment inquiry opened.
Yeah, we're going to get lectures from her. Anything missing from all the hysteria? No crimes, no misdemeanors, no conspiracy, no collusion, no obstruction. Anger, conspiracy theories, outright lying, repeatedly, propaganda, misinformation, slander, smearing, besmirching. That's what you get from your modern-day Democratic Extreme Socialist Party. And God forbid they ever give you your Green New Deal and Medicare for all. This is what they've wanted since 2016. Now Democrats and the mob, they value vengeance above all else. They're so disappointed that their lies didn't become their reality, and their current impeachment hysteria surrounds nothing but what is a non-story about a perfectly normal telephone call between the president and his Ukrainian counterpart. We now have the transcript. There was no quid pro quo. There was no collusion. There was no misconduct. The United States and Ukraine even have a treaty that allows the two countries, mandates that we cooperate in the investigation. Yes, the president was saying we had all this trouble with our election, and you guys were at the center of it. The president, by the way, had this to say about the hysteria. Take a look.
This whole thing is a disgrace. There's been tremendous corruption, and we're seeking it. It's called Drain the Swamp. There's been corruption on the other side. There's been corruption like you've never seen. Now, the new president of Ukraine ran on the basis of no corruption. That's how he got elected. And I believe that he really means it. But there was a lot of corruption having to do with the 2016 election against us. And we want to get to the bottom of it, and it's very important that we do. Thank you.
Did you bring up your...
You got to read the transcripts. This was a perfectly normal legal phone call. So normal, in fact, that known leaker liar, the cowardly Schiff, he had to make up his own fabricated version of the transcript and performed a dramatic reading during an official hearing. Meanwhile, there are so many unanswered questions surrounding a whistleblower that's not a whistleblower and the report and all of this leaking and the dangers that it poses to this country and our constitutional governance. Why? So they can push this president out? Because, as one congressman said back in May, yeah, we can't beat him. Probably the only way to get rid of him is impeach him. And that is, all of these questions.